pony knowledge by. Oh, better. I got a place where winning ain't tough to do. You wanna be cool? Stable do. Your horse racing fantasy come true. But no, Stable do.
Download the Stable Duel app and play today.
Oh, it's time for some more big weekend racing. This weekend in Stable Duel, we've got the sniper, Barry Spears. Matt DeSantis will be joining us in just a moment, and I'm Gino Bucola, and we are with you every weekend on Friday morning, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, 7 a.m. Pacific Time, to get you all set up for some of the big Stable Duel contests. And what's nice, Barry, is even if people aren't playing the Stable Duel games, we're going to be giving out a lot of prices that people will likely want to play in some of their exotic wagers throughout the weekend. And then we'll give you so many prices that you're going to look down and go, oh, look, I can build a Stable Duel lineup so easy that I might as well just put one in and play in these contests anyway. So it's going to work in your favor. How you doing today, my man?
Hanging in there. We're like the Swiss Army knife of horse racing picks.
Yeah. You can use
Versatile.
them anywhere. For anything that you need on tops, unders, types of horses that we're giving out are going to be horses where you don't have to hit every single race in order to make money, right? You hit a couple of them, and then you're going to be in really good shape. We'll dive into some Friday, Saturday. I think Matt and myself even will dish out a play for Monday, because Monday is going to be some Memorial Day racing all over the place. And I know Stable Duel will have a charity-based contest for a big Memorial Day card at Lone Star on Monday. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But for Friday, for Saturday, Gulfstream, Santa Anita are a couple of the tracks that I've been looking at. Barry, looking at the schedule for this weekend. Friday, we have Gulfstream with two different contests, a $5 and a $40 game. Lone Star, Santa Anita has a free ride, and then Penn National has a game on Friday. On Saturday, we've got Gulfstream, Monmouth, Santa Anita, and Lone Star with games. So lots of options Friday, Saturday, and then as I mentioned, we'll talk a little Monday also. So we were talking in our chat over the last couple of days, probably going to be a lot of Santa Anita and Gulfstream. I think I've got one for Gulfstream today, and then a few for Santa Anita and a couple at Santa Anita. So Gulfstream for you, I'd imagine also, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. I got three for Gulfstream, a couple for Santa Anita.
Perfect. Let's start out at Gulfstream, and like always, we encourage you to hang out with us and check out the races at drf.com. That's where we look at the daily racing form past performances. We're able to dive on into the formulator past performances. Those are the ones that I look at, where you're able to click on the links to get to the chart. You're able to click on one link and one click to get to the race replays, to get to pedigree information, owner trainer stats. Anything you need right there at drf.com as we pop in and take a look at Gulfstream Friday. And Matt DeSantis pops in with us right here. Matty, how are you doing this morning, buddy?
Doing well. Sorry, just had a little actual real work to deal with.
What?
For a second.
Nobody does that.
I know.
Nobody does that. Not on a Friday before a holiday, bro.
Who has the audacity? I know.
Seriously. Well, now that you got some of the other stuff out of the way, now we can really get to business. Now we can really get to business.
Now you're all set for the week.
Yeah, we get to handle. So we're going to start over at Gulfstream Park today. I have one at Gulfstream, but it's in the 7th. Anyone have anything earlier there on the card?
Yeah. Okay. Fourth race.
Matt,
4, 5, and 8.
4, 5, and 8 for Barry, and Matt, you got in the first. So let's talk race number 1.
179. Yeah. So, so in the first race, $25,000 maiden claimer, 6 furlongs on the dirt. We're going to take a look at the number 9, Mighty Frosted. At 8-1, it's going to cost you $3,000 in Stable Duel. This is this horse's first career start. It's a 4-year-old. Obviously, there have been some issues getting this horse to the track. That should kind of go without saying. But the reason I kind of like this horse in this spot is, A, we often attack maiden claimers at Gulfstream Park. And on top of that, the favorites appear to be some big-time hangers with a lot of career seconds, a lot of career thirds, horses that just don't appear to want to get over that hump and break the maiden. And with Mighty Frosted, you're getting a little bit of a value at a horse that's, running that first race. And then you look at the trainer stats, and Barboza is dynamite at Gulfstream Park, particularly in this area of maiden claimers. So 20% winning on the meet, 25% winning first starts, 30% winning debut maiden claimers, 27% overall in the maiden claiming circuit. So this horse has got the right trainer to fire off the most effective you can see. The horse also, if you take a look at those works, has been working consistently, has gotten in a couple of gate works, which I like to see, and has also just kept getting stronger, I think, throughout. So it's kind of, I think, primed and tuned up to run big here. Breaking from that far outside post, I actually kind of like that. Keep this horse out of trouble in case there are any issues at the gate. And so for $3,000, 8-1 in a race where I'm not going to spend $9,000 on a horse like Uranium, who loves finishing second. So I'm going to try to attack some value here in the first race. So Mighty Frosted for me in race 1.
I can tell you, this horse is going to take money.
Yep.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Which is a good play in Stable Duel. 8-1.
Right.
Spend $3,000. This horse is probably going to be second or third choice.
Yep.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's a good one.
And it's reminds me of what I did with my hair, basically every year from when I was 10 to about 18 years old. Frosted those tips, baby. I had those bad boys rocking every summer. I had those oh my gosh, and then unfortunately one year, because the frosting of the tips would be okay, but I had to always make sure I had to have the roots right that were dark. If one year I went full Slim Shady and I was full on like bleach,
We need pictures, man.
I'll
Yeah,
pull them
really.
up. I'll pull them up, and it's so bad because like with my eyebrows, the two-tone from this dark eyebrow to the straight like bleach, it was like, oh my gosh, this is not good. But I liked it. I thought it was great, and I look back, I was like, what the hell was I doing there? Just
Full
a few-
Tony Hawk style.
Yeah, a
Oh,
few of those
man,
years
man.
were not the best for old G. Couple times there. So I think somebody said race number 3. Who was that? Who was that?
Not
I think
I.
got race 4.
Race
Okay.
4.
Race 4. Okay. Race number 4. Barry, go ahead.
Yeah, this is another maiden race, a maiden special weight, $50,000 purse. This kind of reminds me of the first race a little bit, where the favorites don't look all that great and very vulnerable here. And the 6 Social Empire is probably going to be the favorite. He was bought for $250,000. Safi Joseph Barn, who coincidentally doesn't have a great record of first time start winners. He's okay, and he can get it done, no question about it. But his numbers aren't as gaudy as they are second time out.
Or you would think for a barn that wins that much. Normally those type of
Right.
barns are like big with first time starters too, right? Pop them.
Yeah, because they win usually by attrition. They have so
Yep.
many, and they end up winning. But his percentage isn't all that great. Not saying that he can't win or even win in this spot. But I'm going to side against, and I'm going to go with number 4, Fast Flight. I think this horse is one of the most likely winners on the card. I think they just gave this horse a race last time out. He bumped at the break and faded in the 3 path is the comment. Just looking at the replay, it just kind of looked like he kind of just ran around there. Nothing special. Didn't really do anything. But I think, that was just to get a race under this horse's belt. Ralph Nix is very good. Second time out, 27%. He's a 31% trainer at the meet. So this is kind of like all systems go. They're getting Top Rider, who rides at a 26% clip for this barn. So I think this guy is the one.
And already you've seen this race come back live with the runner-up coming back to win a maiden special weight over at Monmouth Park. Fast Flight in race number 4 at Gulfstream a little bit later on today, 9-2 there. So we continue on through the Gulfstream card. I'm in the 7th. I think we said 7th, 8th, and 9th. Is that right?
Yep,
The rest
I
of
got
the way
7
through?
as well.
Yeah, I got the 5th.
5th for Barry.
Oh.
Okay, 5th.
Yeah, you know how I do, man. It's
You
the
always go
that's
to
right.
back-to-back.
doubles.
Doubles.
Old
Yeah.
school double.
Doubles.
Old school
Doubles.
double.
That's
Old
right.
school doubles. Barry, where are we taking a look? Synthetic in race number 5.
We're going to the 10, Stage Ready, who is very, very interesting because this horse shipped out with Jeff Mullins from California and got claimed immediately by someone who does well with these claims. I mean, if you look at this trainer's record, Rashawn Creaky, it matches his first time off the claim numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a gaudy $12.40 ROI is what people were kind of sleeping on him. He's a 33% trainer on the year, albeit only 6 starts. I mean, but clearly he can do what he does. Claiming horses seems to be what his strong point is. This horse has some races to go back to if you look at the past performances. You know, last year, October, August, July, any one of those races at Del Mar and Santa Anita would win this race easily on the synthetic. I guess the only question would be if this horse takes to the synthetic, but that's where the gamble is. I don't think this horse is going to get bet down too much, despite what the trainer's numbers look like and everything else. But I think this is a prime spot for a horse like this. The favorites, Long Beach Kid, doesn't look all that great. Does have, I think a lot of the public's going to gravitate to horses that have been winning on synthetic or coming close. But I don't necessarily think that those horses are the ones that are going to get it done today. So I'm just going to the outside. Kind of, hopped at the start in the last race. I don't know if you can pull that up. This horse was on the way outside on the 12 spot, and you'll see. I mean, you get a good look at it because they start right in front of the camera, and it just kind of hops at the start and didn't really try after that. I think they just wanted to get another race in the horse off the layoff. Just hopped and he was pretty much done. He saved ground kind of the whole way, but really didn't do too much running. But I'm going to chalk that up to the long layoff. He hadn't run since January 7th, and this was April 17th. So probably needed the race. And I think this is just a good spot. They claimed him at the right time, and I think they're going to get a good go at it today.
That is Stage Ready, who I know I got him one of these times when it must have been this time. I was trying to think. One of these times, it must have been at Churchill when he was about 6-1. Or no, you know what? I think it was the Del Mar time for me, because there was a time where I got him. It was pretty good, I remember. And Stage Ready, very capable of firing a big one. 10-1, only going to cost you $1,000 to use in your stable dual lineups for today. Hey, if you're hanging out there, if you're watching us and you're playing anything today at Gulfstream Park, let us know one of your plays today or someone that you're using. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll give you a little shout out and incorporate you into the show as we continue along through this Friday Gulfstream Park card. I am in the 7th. You are also in the 7th, right, Matt?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, Matt. Let's see it. Where are you headed in race number 7?
I'm going to the far outside and Chickaboom.
Oh, Chickaboom! We both are Chickaboom.
All right,
Go. Okay.
So, all right, that always makes me feel good. And so, I like this horse a lot. So this is just so for the folks listening at home, no, this is a $20,000 claimer, 7.5 furlongs on the turf for fillies and mares, non-winners of 2, and so. One of the things I like to do when I look at these races is because all these horses just have one win. I like to see horses that have a tendency to hit the board even before they've necessarily broken their maiden or after they break their maiden. One of the things I like about Chickaboom, 6 career efforts on the turf, 4 times in the money. With one win. That one win came 2 races ago when they finally took the blinkers off for this horse and seemed to kind of bump up in speed figures, run a little bit better. Then they ran her back on the dirt and she didn't run particularly well. Now she's coming back on the turf on a surface she likes, a surface where she's been successful. And you get Camacho there on board. This horse always seems to attract pretty good jockeys as well. Interestingly enough.
So as you keep talking, Matt, she's the one in this race that we're talking about.
Yep.
And she draws the rail, and she just sort of like, okay, You know, she has a bad start from the inside. This is sprinting, and now she's basically done.
Yeah, and she's sprinting on a surface she doesn't like in a bad post position. And
Yep.
so now you're coming back on a surface she likes at a distance she likes with a better post position, I think.
Yep.
And you have an 8-1 on the morning line, only going to cost you $3,000. I really like this play. I think this is a really live horse to get a win. But
Yeah,
Gino,
I
I'll
mean-
let you talk about her a little bit more.
Yeah, you toss the dirt when she even had a legitimate excuse last time on the dirt. But if you just want
Yeah.
to eliminate the dirt races, eliminate the synthetic race. The synthetic races. There's 3 of them. There's 3 on the synthetic and 2 on the dirt. So eliminate those races. And sort of like Matt was saying, let's just key in off the turf races. Here's what we have. We have 5 races where this filly has finished in the top 3. One race where she was 5th in a race where she actually showed a little bit of speed and sort of had some trouble in a race that has come back live. Both of the horses, 2 of the horses that finished in front of her came back to win next out. And then the other race, when she didn't hit the board, she finished 4th and she lost to a next out winner. She's been really good on the grass. This is just a really nice spot for her. I think she fits very well. She's 8-1 and she probably feels like she should be more like a 4-1-ish shot.
Yeah.
In this race, you know?
I think that's right.
And so I feel like she's a really nice stable dual play. Chickaboom. In race number 7, the number 11, at 8-1 on the morning line. She's only going to cost us $3,000 in our stable dual lineups. We continue along. So race number, is it 8 for you, Barry, or the 9th to close out?
8th.
8th. Okay. 8th for the Sniper. As we finish up some of our Friday plays over at Gulfstream, we'll make the transition on over from Gulfstream to Santa Anita coming up next and talk a little bit about Santa Anita for Friday. So, Barry, where are we looking for Gulfstream for race number 8?
Yeah, race number 8 is a state bred optional claimer for $20,000. The purse is $48,000. This is kind of a play that I really don't like the favorite in here, the morning line favorite, Chucky. I'm going to talk about that one first before I get to my pick. But you'll see that Chucky just missed last time at this level to Tapsational, who's a pretty decent horse. However, if you look at this horse's past performances, basically the top part has been running okay, but at this level tends to not finish and win. And that's concerning to me with a horse, even with the buyer numbers looking like they do, coming out of a big time barn like Saffie Joseph's barn. This horse is going to take a lot of action, and I don't think it's really deserved. If you look at the December 5th, November 18th, October 28th races, those are really good races, but at a very, very low level in condition claimers, non-winners of 2, non-winners of 3. Then they step the horse up in the optional claimer, 16,000, just doesn't run.
And notice the time of the year there,
right,
at Gulfstream, right, as it gets into a little bit more difficult times too.
Correct. You see the horses coming, the influx from up north and Kentucky and all that. The waters got deep, and they stepped this horse up in class and went to a straight 8,000, ran second, did kind of what I think this horse is going to do today. I think the last race is really going to attract a lot of attention, but I don't think this horse has wants to win. It just seems like it's a chore for whatever reason. Kind of switches off late and loses. The horse that I did end up going with is the 3 horse Demurely.
I thought so. Yeah.
Yep. I like this horse a lot.
This, although the buyer speed figures are kind of light, this horse has been running in similar company, and then actually, in effect, a little bit better in a sense in these restricted stakes, even though they're for Florida breds. Hadn't been out in a while and came up in a pretty tough race on May 7th, and I think that was kind of a prep for this one. This is a more logical spot considering, what the horse has won at.
Yep.
I mean, if you go back to that race on October 23rd for this horse, he ran really, really well. It wasn't a super fast race, but he kind of did what he was supposed to, or she kind of did what she was supposed to do, and made some gains and got beat half a length by two pretty decent horses. She's So Beautiful is not that bad. Then the time before that got thumped by Outfoxed, who is a really good horse. I just don't see much as far as kind of class in this race. Maybe the 8 a little bit, but I mean this horse should get the trip here. Kind of stalking Chucky, and more or less, I'm betting on Chucky just kind of quitting late and giving it up to somebody else, and I think the 3 is the one here at 15-1. I have to take a shot.
Absolutely. Slow start, legitimate issues at the break last time out, second off the bench. I think there are plenty of things to like about Demurley. Make sure to throw this horse in if you're playing late exotics, pick 4s, pick 5s for Friday over at Gulfstream Park as we make the transition from Gulfstream Friday to Santa Anita Friday.
I still have one more on the race 9.
You're in the 9th. You're in the 9th.
What?
Yeah.
The bailout.
Bailout Maddie. Okay. Here we go. Awesome. Maddie, where are we going to look in race number 9?
We're going to go right to the number 1 hole, high press at 10-1 for $1,000 on Stable Duel.
Nice.
And so this is a $12,500 claimer, 5.5 furlongs on the synth. And simply said, I would just eliminate every line from this horse's racing form other than the 3 times this horse has sprinted on synthetic. This horse does really well sprinting on synthetic. Yeah. And the absolute 3 best performances of this horse's career, 2 for 3 hitting the board, broke its maiden sprinting on synthetic, likes to sit back. So I'm not quite as worried about that number 1 post position. Doesn't need to get on the lead. Actually kind of likes to come from mid pack and kind of push late. I think Banker's Hours and Awesome Pudding, who are 2 of the favorites, should push at an aggressive pace. I was also dropping down slightly in class, going from 20,000 to 12.5 claimers. And if you look at if you just look at those 3 races where this horse sprinted on synthetic, those speed figures are right there with everybody else in the field. And at 10-1, I just think you're getting really good value on Stable Duel for a horse that's only going to cost you $1,000, who I think is a really live shot to potentially win, but at the very least to finish in the money and gets you some really strong positive points. So I think this is a nice way to maybe close out your card if you spent up money on some of those earlier races, only $1,000 in the last race of the day. So high press for me in race 9.
High press. Lots of opportunities for short Stable Duel prices at 10-1 only cost you $1,000 to use in your Stable Duel lineup. And I believe now we can move along just to a little bit later on Friday from Gulfstream Park on to Santa Anita. And I've got my first play at Santa Anita starting in the 3rd. Does anybody have anything before that?
Nope, I have the 3rd too.
3rd also.
4th.
Okay, cool. 3rd and 4th. So Matt, I will let you tell us where you want to head in race number 3, and then I will follow suit.
All right, we'll see if we're on the same horse again.
Let's see if we are.
Am I in race 3? I don't know. I might not be in race 3. Gino,
okay,
take it away.
Okay, I'll lead the way. I'll lead the way in race number 3 because I'm going to go to the number 5 Empire Pass in race number 3. So we can talk a little bit about the 5 horse, and this 3rd race is a 6 furlong turf sprint. It's a 50 starter allowance. Now, Empire Pass only has 1 race on the turf, and Empire Pass is 12-1 on the morning line in here. And so this is a 50 starter allowance. Her race where she was on the turf last time out was in a lot tougher spot. It was in a first level allowance race where she was behind a horse named Connie Swingle, who's actually a stakes winner. And Connie Swingle is a pretty nice little Calbred. The runner up in that race was a nice Mullins trainee named Countess Rosina. So you just get an idea that it was a lot tougher race than this one that she's in this particular spot. And that was going 6.5 furlongs. And now she had a good start. She was kind of close up she was about third or fourth. She was in, she was in striking range. She sort of got bumped and floated a little bit wide going into the turn. That was the first try against Turf, against Better, going longer. She drops, she cuts back. She's got a little bit of speed. She can sit off. And you know what? It's a small field. I think the 6 to the outside will probably be flashing a little bit of speed. I think she can maybe sit like second or third in here. There's really not that much speed when you look at it for a race like this, because the 1 isn't really crazy fast. Because she draws the rail, she might be going a little bit. Del Mar Drama is not a speed demon. Keep Dancing is cutting back from races going a little bit longer. The 4 horse is also cutting back from races going a little bit longer. I wouldn't be shocked if the 5 is right on the lead or sitting second if they let On Purpose go. So in this type of a race, like we're saying in Santa Anita, when you can get double-digit odds in some of these spots, I think you got to dive in. I feel like this is an opportunity where this horse could possibly steal the race. So let's give a look to the number 5, Empire Pass, 12-1 in race number 3 a little bit later on today. So that's the third race. We said we have the 4th race for Barry. What about for you, Matt?
Yep, 4th for me as well. Sorry about that.
4th for Matt and 4th for Barry. Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Barry, let us know where you want to look in race 4.
Race 4 is a claimer, a condition claimer of non-winners of 2 lifetime. Not a great group, I can tell you that. But there's some things to like here as far as a value perspective. I ended up going with number 6, Star Entry.
So did I.
Oh wow.
Yep, we're on the same.
See? Yeah, I just think there's a lot of speed in here. I think the 5 is going to show a lot of zip. The 3 probably has no choice but to go. The 2 has a lot of speed also, and I think this horse is just going to set a great trip right off of Cat Bernay. It just kind of fits here. There's really not much to grab onto with any of these horses.
Nope.
Except for the fact that Star Entry, if you go to the lone win that he has, he kind of has the same trip that he's probably going to get,
exactly
later
right.
on. So he just kind of falls into the right spot. And his race, all of his races have been competitive with these. Everybody kind of looks the same on paper, and this is just kind of one of those trip plays where you got the whole pace scenario shapes up for Star Entry to run really well here.
So yeah, he's run 6 times, or he's run 5 times in his debut. He's flashing some speed, and he runs into Moose Mitchell, who you see a few different times in here. And Moose Mitchell is not bad. Moose Mitchell is a stakes placed horse, and he's been in some good spots for Calbreds. He was in the second in the Echo Eddie a couple starts back. So that's career start number 1. He comes back in career start number 2. He runs into a horse named Straight Up G. This was a really nice horse for Jungle Racing and for Jim Rome. Straight Up G he won the Mind That Bird Derby. He was actually less than 2-1 in the Open Company Grade 3 Sunland Derby after winning the King Glorious, which was the stakes race that California Chrome won. And then the California Cup Derby, he was second in that race. Comes back and he wins the Mind That Bird Derby at Sunland, then just doesn't really fire in his next race at Sunland. But this horse was pretty good, Straight Up G, especially when you're talking about facing him in a Calbred race. And so that's career start number 2. Then they drop in class against Maiden 50 claimers, and you wonder sometimes at Los Al how strong the races are. Well, 3 of the horses that they beat came back to win next time out. Mad Steven came right back to win the next start. So did Medina Man, came back to win the next start. So did Majestic Win. All came back to win the next start. This horse won at a Maiden 50 claimer on the turf. And we're not talking about really low levels either, all like in decent spots. That was in a relevant race going 5.5 on the dirt. As Barry mentioned, he showed that he can sit a little bit, which I really liked because we know he's got some positional speed. Then what happened after that race? They tried going long on the turf in a race where he actually faced Open Company, and he was 80-1. He was just overmatched in that spot. He came back in the next start. Again, he tried turf, and to be honest,
Probably
it wasn't a bad race. He was
No.
close up. He was fourth. He was like right within a couple lengths, and they sort of grabbed a hold of him, and he backed up, and he got caught in between horses, and he couldn't really come on again. Was he going to win that race? No. He could have been a lot closer than beating 12 lengths in there. So now he's back to 5.5. We know he can sit just off. I sort of, there's always a horse or two like this every week that I can go through every race, and they just make sense why they either ran well or they didn't run well. And win or lose in a spot like this, it's a small field. This horse is 10-1. When you can talk it out like that, I feel nice about using horses like this, in Stable Duel and in any ways that you're playing exotics. Star Entry was a horse that Barry and myself both landed on today, a little bit later on at Santa Anita for Friday.
2-star play, not a 3-star play.
Yeah.
No, not a 3-star play, because I'm actually
Yeah.
I actually like the 3 in this race.
Okay, Matt, tell us about the 3.
So I think we both realize this is a race to attack for a price.
Yep.
And so you went with one price. I'm going with the other, with Olympic Legend. This is a horse that is going back to the dirt, where he broke his maiden and beat Messier, actually. And so, there's talent there, and there's ability. Now, I think the ownership got maybe a little excited and went from that straight to a grade 1, and promptly got trounced at the Del Mar Futurity. And then then he finished third at a kind of a restricted stakes race. Then they step him up and try to route him at the Los Alamitos Futurity. That goes very poorly. Then they kind of try to make him a turf horse for a while, and he actually doesn't run poorly as a turf horse. Finishes third at a really big price at the Baffle, and runs halfway decent there, but kind of diminishing returns after that on turf, and now is coming back to the dirt. And so he's going back to dirt. He's going back to sprinting, where I think he's most comfortable. And again, I'm not overwhelmed by this field. The trainer has some success going turf to dirt, a 38% win rate, actually in a limited number of attempts, but still, you like to at least see that there's some success there. I agree there's going to be pace in this race, but he's getting the blinkers off. So I think he may not be quite as aggressive out of the gate. And so I think he might sit just a little off and maybe have a slightly better trip than if he was like sucked up into that speed, putting pressure or being pressured. So I think for a lot of the same reasons you talked about Star Entry, I like Olympic Legend, but I would absolutely identify this race to get yourself a price on Stable Duel.
It's funny looking back at horses and Big Scott Daddy. When this horse won his debut, I was so impressed. He was one of those horses you make a note on, and it's like, this might be a really nice horse, because he won, I think it's opening day at Santa Anita. And you sort of he sort of raised some eyebrows, and the way he did it, he was sort of wide, and he made this big move, and he did it at 6.5. And I remember just thinking wow, this horse is going to be, and it's funny. It's not that he hasn't been competitive, but he hasn't won a race since, and when you see these horses like that, you always think they're going to end up being so good. And, he was claimed for 12.5, and he's the horse to beat in here, but he's definitely not a horse that I would play now. With what's likely to be a short price. Big Scott Daddy. That's race number 4 today. That's a race that all three of us are attacking because we think that the short prices may be a little bit vulnerable there. So I've got the 8th and the 9th a little bit later on. Anybody have anything before that?
Nope. 9th for me.
I get the 9th as well.
Okay, let's go to
the law professor. A lot of the lock of the week.
I was going to say, there's a possibility. Whenever there's a possibility, we all get a little bit excited. We all get the eyebrows raised. Let's get to race number 8 for a moment and take a look at this one. So take the 210, the number 4, which it's out here in Southern California. What's funny about this is that the siblings they're named after freeways. So the dam is named North Freeway, and the 210 is the freeway that you get off to go to Santa Anita. It's right there, the 210 freeway. And then some of the siblings are take the 101, which is, another one of the major freeways.
Yes.
So they're pretty well named. They're pretty funny.
Yeah.
So take the 210 in both of this one starts, drew the rail. And so kind of in a tough spot in 2 starts. I think we can sort of be forgiving, right off the bat. It's okay, You're sprinting on the turf, you draw the rail, and now you're right here. You're towards the back of the pack in your first start ever, and now you're like squeezed, and because of that, you're like literally shuffled all the way back. So I think that was not necessarily easy. And then next time out, you can see again drew the rail and sort of hit the gate, kind of bumping in, and was slow again. So both of the races on paper, they're not very good, but both of them, he has pretty slow starts, and he drew the rail in both of them. And now he gets off the rail a little bit. He's got the right to be just a little bit better. When I was talking about some of his siblings, his dam North Freeway was a 9-time winner who earned $270,000. She was actually a stakes winner, and she was a really quick sprinter too. And so maybe he's got some speed in there somewhere that he hasn't been able to show because he's had a couple bad starts from the rail. She won this, stakes race at Delaware, and she was in some decent spots. So she's actually produced pretty well also. As I mentioned, a couple of the siblings. Take the 101 is a horse who actually earned almost $500,000. Take the 101 is a multiple stakes winner. Take the 101 also showed some precocity. Won in the second start, was grade 1 placed, was third behind Bolt the Oro in the front runner here, and tackled graded stakes company a lot of times. Actually, was multiple graded stakes placed. I forgot about the San Antonio race up here also. And in some of the others, Square Deal. Square Deal is another solid horse. This is one of the 4 winning siblings. Square Deal is a stakes winner. The other 2, Take the Diamond Lane and 80 to Davis, all are winners. So there's a lot of little things for this horse who has some legitimate excuses for those, who has a decent pedigree and a barn who's certainly capable. So give me a look at the 4. Take the 210 here, who's 8-1, will only cost you $3,000 in your stable dual lineup in another race where, there's no monsters in here or anything. If this horse shows just a little bit of improvement, it's not like they have to step up all that much to be competitive there. So race number 8, we'll take a look at Take the 210, 8-1 on the morning line. Another one just in that 3,000 range. Okay, we all head to race number 9, the Get Out race on Friday. Okay, Barry, you lead the way. Where are we headed?
Ricky Henderson says number 1.
Oh, me too.
Times.
Yes.
Oh, all of us?
Yes.
Everybody, let the good times roll.
Law
fellas.
Professor Lock of the Week.
Let the good
man.
times roll. Awesome. Okay, Barry, you go ahead, then Maddie, and then I'll clean up whatever's left over.
Yeah, I'll keep it brief. This is an option claimer for $50,000. The purse is $40,000. This horse is actually probably what I like to call sneaky good. Because if you look at the races that this horse has been running prior to today and really going back to 2021, it's been keeping way better company.
Yep.
The last time, or actually in October 16th race, got beat by Ivy League, who's a pretty good horse. Get on the Bus is also very, very good. But didn't embarrass herself in those prior efforts. So if you go to April 2021, the Maiden Breaker kind of outclassed them, but then steps up into this same level, and it was almost favored that race and ran pretty well, a decent 4th. And then they stepped them up. They stepped her up twice, and kind of, she didn't run all that great. Dropped her back in class, went to the dirt, and kind of ran up the track a little bit. But this is what this horse wants to do. I think going a mile and 1/8 and going long on the turf is perfect. Got a great setup for this race on that one on May 1st. So I think all systems are go today. And honestly, one of the things that attracted me to this horse is because of the 2 who might show speed stepping up into this company off of a maiden win. I think if Rispoli can get this horse right behind that horse, I think it's just go time.
Yeah.
We are looking at the 1, Matt. So you want to talk a
Yeah.
little bit about this horse who actually just has to kind of drop way back out of
Yep.
it early on.
And that was the thing, is last time out, that was coming off about a 5-month layoff, and just did not have a good break, broke slow, and just really had a rough trip all the way around. But then still managed to put in a really nice effort towards the end, was making up ground, passing horses at the end, which is something you always like to see, especially coming off a layoff. So this is now second off the layoff. This is a horse, I agree with Barry, likes the distance. The 1 1/8 will not be an issue. Also gets Rispoli back. Remember,
Yep.
Rispoli, he went to Kentucky. Now he's back in California. I would argue maybe 3 of this horse's best efforts are with Rispoli aboard.
Absolutely.
So,
and look at the 1 right now. Look, he's running right into traffic.
Yep, exactly.
He's the gray that he's right here. You could see he runs right into traffic, and then boom, he grabs a hold, and now he ends up taking back, and he's just sitting there waiting because there's just nowhere to go. So he's just sort of waiting, and again, he gets shuffled back. He's just literally waiting because the horse in front of him backs up, and that pushes him back. He's able to kind of maneuver around the 2 who has to take up. But look, he's basically being stood up on right now.
Exactly.
At the back. He's like, Victor's got absolutely nowhere to go. And then he sort of shakes him up a little bit. And now watch the 1 when he ducks down to the inside and gets a little bit of room.
Look at that. That's good turn of that's really good turn
look
of
at
foot.
the interest that he's showing there late, and he's really, really starting to stretch his legs a little bit. It's very sneaky too. Like this is a horse he's had a couple races like that too that might look a little bit better on paper. Look at the gallop out too. He can't get him pulled up because the horse still has a little bit of something, has a little something left here. So for the good times off that troubled trip, second start off the bench. Barry talked about how this horse was in some spots that were pretty tough too. You see the race with Queen Goddess, who's a graded stakes winner and who was just recently graded stakes placed. Everybody's on the 1. It's the Law Professor lock of the week for Friday. It's the get out play at Santa Anita, race number 9, the number 1. And that's for the good times. Oh, we are going to let those good times roll if we can get this guy home and to close things out. So we can head on over to Saturday. You guys have some Gulfstream for Saturday. Is that right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
I have most of mine at Santa Anita, so I'll let you guys navigate the way over at Gulfstream. So where are we looking for Gulfstream for Saturday? Barry, tell us where we're going to head first.
We're going to go and start in, let's see. I'm scrolling through and I didn't write it. It's race 6 is my first play.
Okay,
that's fine. Mine aren't until the end, 9 and 11. So.
Okay. So we're on 6.
I definitely have 11 also.
Okay. We might have another little double up. We've had a few of those already today. Race 6 at Gulfstream Park. So for everyone who's hanging out, we're taking a look at Saturday, May the 28th out at Gulfstream, and we're going to jump into race number 6. And we're always looking at the past performances at drf.com because look how convenient it is when we're handicapping. We can click on the charts. We can click on the race replays. We can click on the statistics for the trainers and quickly find out all sorts of relevant information. And the relevant information in this race is the winner that Barry is about to give us. And who is that in race
number
6?
Yeah, it's a handicap, an overnight 5 furlongs on the turf. And I ended up on number 2, tape to tape. I just, looking at the speed figures and everything, I think this horse just may be playing straight up faster than everybody in here. The 5 horse who's lukewarm morning line favorite, Warrior's Pride, is really shaky. It just doesn't make any sense, why this horse just somehow just can't finish races. I mean, you see in July, Warrior's Pride ran in the turf sprint for 100K at Gulfstream and won last July 4th. Then runs into similar races today and just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Maybe something happened. They laid him off all the way to February of 2022. It came back in a grade 3 turf sprint, lost to Yes I'm Free and Richie, who probably wouldn't be favored in this spot. Yes I'm Free probably would be. Richie probably not. But speed faded. Did the same thing in the Silks run, March 12th. Speed faded, and won an optional claimer 62. But if you notice, the races that this horse has won really got an early lead and put some separation between him and everybody else. I don't think that's going to happen today. I don't,
No.
I don't think this horse is going to be on the lead by himself like that in order to get that kind of trip. And every time this horse gets headed or is close to somebody else, he just stops.
And you got old Mai Tai on the outside's got some speed. You've got even the 6 right next door is going to be pressing a little bit. You've got the 4 who's got a little bit of speed. There's plenty. The 2 who you mentioned, Tape to Tape, is also quick, but it's just not going to be so if you're going to use a horse that's got speed, you don't want to use the short price horse who's super vulnerable and one dimensional.
Exactly. But I just think Tape to Tape is going to get out and go.
Yeah.
You see the race on March 18th, the 35,000 non-winners 2, which is a cheap level compared to this. Just a big improvement, first time on the turf. Then he got ran on synthetic and one going away. I think this horse is just razor sharp right now, and can be as fast as this short field goes. I just think this horse is just going to be in front and go wire to wire. I don't really see too much here.
To Tape, 8-1 on the morning line, only going to cost you 3,000 in your stable dual lineups. So, Matt, you said you're later on in the card, right?
Yeah, I'm in race 9.
Race 9 for Matt.
Yeah.
8.
Oh, you're in 8.
Gary,
okay, Barry, go for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Talk to us in race number 8. We're headed to the turf here.
Yeah. So this is a claimer, $16,000 claimer, 7.5 furlongs on turf, which I kind of view as more of a mile because it's literally like a couple hundred yards short of a mile. I don't know why they round down, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of an interesting race because these horses have been kind of beating up on each other for quite some time. You see Vittori Kin, Benelux, they've all been running at this level. Officer Country, Jupiter Blues. But I ended up with number 6, Double Tough Tiger, at a price. It's really hard to kind of gauge, but this horse is out of Tourist. Not sure why this horse has only been on the lawn one time. I'm very actually curious. I wish I could talk to the connections and find out.
Even the Dam also won on the turf.
Right,
and just add to it as well. So there is like some sneaky turf pedigree with this horse.
Yeah, and I don't think that the rest of them are just so spectacular on the turf that this horse can't be beat. This horse has, comparable numbers on the dirt that will fit with this group, and also a running style. I mean, this horse can run on the lead, but doesn't have to necessarily be on the lead, I don't think. It's just a new face in a new place kind of deal. I really took a long look at the 1 Benelux, but I opted to go somewhere else only because it just seems almost too obvious, especially off the claim. This horse is going to get bet down, and I don't really think that Benelux might give a great performance today. It looks like he might be on the decline after the last race when he got claimed. So I'm going to steer away from that one. End up on Double Tough Tiger, who's 12-1 on the morning line. Stable Duel is a great play.
Absolutely.
And hopefully that price holds. I think it will.
Yeah.
We'll probably be somewhere around that 12-1. So I can't wait to bet this one tomorrow.
Double Tough Tiger, the number 6, who is 12-1, only cost you $750 in your stable dual lineups. As we continue rolling along the Gulfstream Park Saturday card, Matt has a play in race number 9. We'll head to the dirt. Matty, who are we looking at in this one?
Yeah, we'll look at the 3, Bad Bad Bobby, $35,000 claimer, 6.5 furlongs on the turf, on the dirt, I should say. And part of the reason I like this horse is just it seems like they finally figured out what this horse does best. They tried to run this horse on synthetic the first time out. Not bad, sprinting, just finished a length behind in 5th, made up a lot of ground late, was passing horses, but then they tried to stretch this horse out on the turf, and that's clearly not what this horse wanted to do. And then the third tries the charm, and they ran this horse on the dirt sprinting and got a win. You saw a big perk up in the Beyer speed figures. I should point out a horse we actually mentioned previously today, Uranium, who's the 2-1 favorite on the Friday maiden claimer that we talked about, was the horse that he actually beat last time out. So, I really don't have a problem kind of drawing a line through those first two efforts because they're on two different surfaces.
Absolutely.
And if you just look, this horse ran a 68, broke its maiden first try on dirt. I like that a lot. And now you're stepping up in class a little bit, but this is not an unbeatable group by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
Starlight Walker, who's the overwhelming morning line favorite and the number 2 horse, actually did kind of a similar jump, going from, winning a $25,000 maiden claimer and then finishing a really close second in a 25,000 allowance and running pretty comparable speed figures in that maiden. So I really like Bad Bad Bobby in this spot. I also, the other thing I should point out is I like the works. There was a really nice, solid workout after that maiden victory, and then a really relaxed workout this week. And I tend to like that style. That's if people like. A lot of times Steve Asmussen does that, where like the last workout before the race is actually pretty relaxed. And so I like that. And the other thing I'll mention is trainer Aubrey Mara is just crushing Gulfstream Park right now.
Mm-hmm.
Only 12 races, but 4 winners, 9 in the money. So you're looking at a 67% in the money rate right now. And so I just really like the way things lined up for this horse. 6-1 on the morning line, only going to cost you $5,000, which is that average stable duel horse price. Is not going to put you over budget or anything like that. So I like Bad Bad Bobby in race 9.
Bad Bad Bobby for Maddie. And as we continue along, Barry, you said you've got 11, right?
Yep, we both.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
both in the 11. Okay, cool. So we'll head to the big drama. Shout out to one of my favorite dramas, Johnny Drama from Entourage. That was my guy over there. Old. I saw him. I saw the character Kevin Dillon, the actor Kevin Dillon, who plays Johnny Drama. He was up at Santa Anita one time, up in the front runner, sitting up there. And actually, this was like well before I was even doing anything on TVG or doing anything like actually professionally horse racing. And I walked up to him and said, "Oh, there's a horse in this race, blah blah blah, that's gonna win." And the horse actually won. And so I remember he was kind of smiling and just sort of like pointing and So I always like, I gave him a winner. Me and Johnny Drama are friends. We go way back now. Me and Dylan. But we're talking big drama, and we're talking a stakes race on Saturday at Gulfstream Park. So Matt, why don't you tell us who you like in this one?
Oh, all right. I'll go first. So I'm going to go with Chivalry, the number 3. And so. What are you on? Are you on?
That's who I'm on.
So that's the third. We had one with all 3. We had one with me and Barry, and we had one with Matt and Barry. So lots of similarities this weekend.
Yeah, well, that's great. I wasn't sure if you were going to be with me on this one. So Chivalry at 12-1, only going to cost you $750 in stable duel. This is a horse that I just think is really consistent too. And so this is a horse that's 5 for 8 in the money at this distance, 9 for 18 in the money lifetime at Gulfstream Park. Horse gets the blinkers on, which I think is actually going to be a really big help, going to be more forwardly placed. This horse always runs really strongly when up in that number 1, 2, 3 position. So I like that. Barry mentioned this trainer earlier, Ralph Nix, trainer Chivalry, winning at a 31% clip at Gulfstream Park. And the other thing is, last 2 efforts were just against much better competition. And so you take that for what you will. Ran against Speaker's Corner and Fearless 2 out. And then last time out, ran against Wayburn and Collaborate. Yeah. Those horses would be like 1-9 if they were running in this race. Mm-hmm. So, so I don't mind second back from the layoff. And the other thing to mention, this horse has run well in state-restricted stakes races before. Has a win, has a second in those types of races. So a lot to like with Chivalry, the number 3 in race 11. But I'll let Barry talk about more.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of covered all the bases here. If you look at the past performances, there was 3 races there last year: December 11th, September 25th, and August 14th in restricted state-bred company. Won one of them and just missed twice. Yeah. Then stepped up in the Hooper on Pegasus Day, and honestly didn't run all that bad
No.
against Speaker's Corner, who's an absolute monster. Fearless just needed to get away from Speaker's Corner, and then officiating came out of that race and won also. Then in the Sir Shackleton, I think they were shopping this horse around for a while trying to get a spot. Not sure if it was kind of injury related, because the horse was entered in at Tampa a few times and didn't run. Showed up in the Sir Shackleton and didn't run a step on Florida Derby Day. But this is more this horse's speed. Kind of Matt hit the head, a nail on the head. These are just this is just a way better spot against a company that I think this horse will be able to sit a great trip behind King Cab, who I kind of suspect is going to get overbet. Same thing with Willie Boy. I think they're going to be way too low in price, and Shivery will probably kind of float up a little bit, but it's going to be less than the morning line, but still a great price.
Barn won with their last 3 starters, also on a little bit of a streak right now, and Shivery will be a horse who just again fits to me probably more like a 6-1 shot in here. Right, like probably like
Yes.
5 or 6 to
Half
1,
that, yeah.
and you're gonna have to pay up about 12 to 1. So that's where it seems like there's value there for Shivery. Saturday, Gulfstream Park. So plenty of opportunities for you Saturday at Gulfstream as we head to Saturday, Santa Anita. We'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll also give out a couple for Monday, and we'll mention that Stable Duel is doing a really cool Monday contest. It's going to be charity based, so they have a Memorial Day big card at Lone Star. We'll take a look at 1 or 2 plays from there. I think Matt and I have 1 or 2 that we can mention for Monday at Lone Star. So for Saturday, Santa Anita, Barry, where do you look for Saturday, Santa Anita?
I believe we're in race 4 first. Let me scroll down.
4. And Matt, how about for you for Santa Anita for Saturday?
I'm in 5 and 7.
5 and 7. Okay. And I'm a little later in the card too. I'm going to go 5, 7, and 9. So if we're not anything early,
I'm totally off. Sorry.
Okay.
It's race 6.
Okay, cool. So we'll start
race 6 is my first one.
Cool. So we'll start in the 5th, and then we'll just sort of navigate our way on from the 5th a little bit. Race number 5 is one that I believe Matt and myself both will look to make a little bit of a play. So I'm looking in the 5th race, Matt, at the number 2. So
Okay.
I'm told.
All right.
Now on speed figures, what makes it difficult for this horse? So I'm told. So this is the Snow Chief. So this is a stakes race here, 1.125 on the turf course. And what makes it hard to get a gauge for this horse is his only turf race came like early on in the 2-year-old season.
Yeah.
So speed figures just changed so much from that point to later on just by the races and the company that you're keeping. So it's hard to look at him and go, by speed figures, he's severely overmatched by this group. Yeah, you're right. That was early on at 2. I think he's just a little bit different horse now. In his second start, he ran into a pretty tough group at Los Al. We just talked about Straight Up G a few moments ago. That horse for Jungle Racing for Jim Rome, who was a multiple stakes winner and who actually beat Open Company. The runner-up in that race was named Phineas. Phineas is multiple graded stakes placed. Phineas was a runner-up in the Best Pal and the runner-up in the Del Mar Futurity. You look at the 3rd place finisher, Fast Draw Munnings, came out of finishing 3rd in that race to win the Cal Cup Derby in their next start. This was a really live race that, so I'm told, kind of got thrown into just because it was like, oh, we have a pretty good horse. There's a Calbred stakes race. Let's just see if they fit. And that's kind of what happens a lot of the times, where it's like maybe there isn't a whole bunch of other stuff going long on the turf at that time that fits. So we know the horse can go long. Let's put him on the dirt and see what we got. Well, he just didn't really fire on the dirt, and that's fine. But now you've got a nice steady tab. What I like about this work tab, there's a 7 furlong and a mile work, which
I don't see that every
You
day.
hardly ever see.
which
yeah.
are really cool. I just
Yeah.
don't think fitness will be a problem for this horse. Like going the 1.125 in a small field, I think he'll be able to save ground, sit, and if maybe we get the way I'm seeing it shape up on paper, maybe the 4 is going to go. The outside horse Smuggler's Run is going to go. So I think those two will be flashing some speed. The 3 and the 2 might be sitting like 3rd and 4th in here. This horse just could be sitting in a good spot, 12-1, lots of upside, 750 in your stable dual lineup, so won't cost you a whole heck of a lot, and only has to beat a couple horses in here to even pick up some points. But I think there is some upside with this horse, and reasons to expect some improvement and some built-in progression in the speed figures too. So that's my play in race number 5. Matt, who are you looking at in
Good
this field?
thing you went away from your buddy there, Worse Reed Sanchez.
Oh, I know.
He just likes to finish third.
I know.
Likes to finish third.
I couldn't do it again. I just couldn't. No. Burned a little too much money in the last 2. Also as your favorite in both of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's gonna do it again.
He is gonna do it again. And so I actually went right next door to the number 3, Vincero Grande, who's a filly running against the boys.
Totally see this one. Yeah.
And another 8-1, $3,000 stable dual play. This is a filly that's 5 for 6 in the money, 2 wins, 3 seconds. Is coming down from Golden Gate, but that last effort on turf I think was really encouraging. It was stretching out to 1 mile and a 16th as well, so I don't think the 1 mile and 1/8 is going to be a problem. One of the things that it kind of made me not raise my eyebrow, but kind of go, oh, okay, is Juan Hernandez jumps aboard.
Yeah.
Who's kind of the top jockey in Santa Anita right now in terms of win percentage, 22% win rate. He kind of has his pick in a lot of instances of who he wants to ride. And the fact he chose to ride Vincero Grande in a race where there were other horses that were kind of looking for new jockeys, I think tells you a little something about what he might think of this horse. So I just think this kind of race sets up nicely. You already set up the pace scenario that I was going to talk about, where I just think this sets up nicely with
our 2 horses should be sitting right next to each other.
Our 2 horses should sit right next to each other off the pace and have plenty turning for home. So I just think also Philly going against the boys, it's easy to root for, but I do think Vincero Grande, to your point, doesn't have to beat a lot of horses to get you some positive points. And for only $3,000, I think is a really viable play at Santa Anita on Saturday.
So we always either attack the same horses or the same races because we think the favorites there may be a little bit vulnerable. And that's what we see with horses like Worst Reed Sanchez and Smuggler's Run, who he might be nice, but he's going to have to stretch out for the first time. He's probably going to be dealing with other pace in here. And it's not easy to go from like 6.5 to 1 mile and 1/8. It's a big stretch out. It's not like you're going from a mile to 1 mile and 1/8. We don't even really know if this horse wants to go a mile. And now he's got to answer the 1 mile and 1/8 test also at a short price. So that's a race that we're looking to attack on Saturday. The Snow Chief, race number 5. Barry, you said you've got race number 6.
Oh, Barry, you're muted.
I think you're muted.
Absolutely. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem.
Definitely have a pick in the 6th. This one I actually like quite a bit here. This is a maiden, state-bred maiden, $50,000 claimer. The horse that I'm going with is number 6, Tribal Dancing.
Yep.
If you could pull up the October 30th race,
Yep.
Kind of says it all. And you kind of foreshadowed here. We're talking about Moose Mitchell.
Look who's down in this race. Our boy Star Entry.
Yeah.
And
you know, this horse is the 2 here. And if you watch this whole entire race and then you come to the past performances and you're like, how is this horse 10-1 on the line? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
But that's okay because we're going to use that to our advantage.
No, absolutely. You're right. We talked about Moose Mitchell, who's nice. You're using him as a measuring stick. You know what's really funny about this horse too? Like, this is a very good race all the way around. Tribal Dancing, like stalks, presses. This is going 6 furlongs.
Ran a winning race. That was really the key for me. Is this horse ran a winning race and just didn't win?
Are very comparable with everyone else. And then that race was in October. And that race sent him to the bench for a while. There might have been even a little bit of a reason why he was sort of flat late in that race.
Yeah, he takes the lead. He goes
right
the
here.
lead.
He's right on the front end, right here, turning for home. And
he takes the lead.
He's sneaky. he's definitely like a pick 4, pick 5 horse. What's funny about this horse too, so Tribal Dancing, who's got star entry in that running line, look who he lost to in his debut. So I'm told. The horse who I just mentioned too. So lots of like carryover and crossover from the horses that we've mentioned. Yeah, he makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, you got the horse Chipper who's had 10 slices at it, and they went to the turf, went to the dirt. It's just like,
they
what
call
do you do?
him Chipper, faster than lightning.
Yeah,
Chipper.
I can't trust a horse like that. And then you have Bags Gold, who's 7-2 on the line, who looks okay, but it's hard to say what this horse is going to do because he got roughed up in the beginning of that race, his only race. Gets Lasix this time. He might be tough, but man, that race that Tribal Dancing ran on October 30th should win this one.
It's a bang up race.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I like that.
So we're gonna give that one a try. 10-1. I mean, why not?
Tribal Dancing is a good fit. When I just handicap the full card and kind of going through, the 3 horses who I had in this race were 6, 9, and 10. Those were the 3. And these 2 horses got jammed up at the start. It was brutal. So if you're playing the 9 in particular, and a couple of the other horses in this race that were in the Dutch bus race, it was the 8 and the 9. But I
remember that race
too because they tried tougher. This horse got a brutal start, and so he sort of interesting too. Aguirre is one of those barns who I know Paul pretty well. He just doesn't get a bunch of stock, but he's super capable with horses that he gets, and they always show like a little bit of speed, and they're always going to be like a little bit better price because it's not a barn that has a ton of horses and a ton of stock, but he can get horses ready to fire and ready to rock and roll. So that is on Saturday as we were looking at race number 6. So Matt, I think you and I both said race 7 also, right?
Correct.
Oh yeah, I got one in 7 too.
Oh,
okay.
All right.
Okay, race number 7. Matt, tell us where we're looking for the 7th.
I'm going all the way to the outside. Number 10, Raging Waters. 10-1. I don't know if anybody else.
Number 9.
Yep. No, number 9. I'm sorry. Yeah, number 9.
Which is a great place to go in San Dimas, the theme park. You guys know about Raging Waters? You guys know about that place in Southern California?
I've heard of it. Yeah,
it's bomb. You got the water slides all over. I'm only about 15 minutes away from it. It's actually close to where the old Fairplex is. It's not too far from Santa Anita. It's fun. I mean, that's one of those places when you're like 12, you get like a season pass and you have your parents drop you off and you're there every day in the summer. And you're like, it's like you start to sort of
you got your click
girls. Start to figure out how you're with your friends, and you're like looking over at the girl over in the corner, and they're like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" You see the smile by the shake machine, like one of those. That was loved me a little Raging Waters there. As we talk Raging Waters now, Matt. As get me off of my diatribe, please, because I'll start talking about the black
Raging
hole
Waters,
and all the different slides.
So race 7, $69,000 allowance on the downhill turf. I identified this horse as one I really liked. It 10-1 on the morning line, only going to cost you $1,000. Only has one career start on the turf, and it was a really good one, and finished right behind the 3-1 favorite Cerulean. And so, if Cerulean's 3-1, and this horse, first time out on turf, finished right behind him, then you go, well, why is this horse 10-1? So I just think that coming back on the turf is going to set up well. Also, that did not get off to a great start that day.
I was going to say,
and that was a bad
trip. You can't see it on here. Yeah, because some of the replays every now and then won't pull up, and that one you can't get on here. But it was a slow. That's what I was looking to show you too. So
it was a tough start, which the beauty of the downhill turf course is you don't really have tough starts.
Nope.
And so that's the nice part there, I think.
And outside isn't a problem.
No, outside's not a problem at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this horse ran his best speed figure on the turf of 78. Interestingly enough, you compare that to Forgiving Spirit in this same race, who basically ran a 77 first time on turf, granted only second career race. Forgiving Spirit's what, 5-2, 7-2 on the morning line.
Yep.
So, so we're projecting a bump there. I don't know why we wouldn't project a bump for Raging Waters as well. Just because this horse has a lot of other career starts under its belt, this is still only its second turf start. So I kind of treat it as its second overall start in some ways.
Yeah.
I think that there's going to be speed in this field. So I think the running style of coming from a little off the pace is going to work out quite nicely. So I like Raging Waters, the number 9 at 10-1 for $1,000.
I'm going right next door.
Okay.
This is a cutback that you and I like a little bit, Barry. This cutback from the mile to 6.5. Now, this horse might just get immediately dismissed because he comes in from Turf Paradise.
Yes. That's why I dismissed him.
And honestly,
that is also why I dismissed him. But talk to me, Gino.
And honestly, the races at Turf Paradise right now, around this point, in these spots, like the turf races, they're really not bad, because what ends up happening, a lot of the horses from out here in Southern California go there when they just can't fill these races. So these races are not bad. And if you look at like where he stacked up in Southern California, it's not bad. Or when he was in California before at Golden Gate in Northern California, he was in like starter allowance spots. The real key about all this was against open company, right? Now we're back in with Calbreds. Now he's drawn to the outside, like we said, which is nice down the hill. He's got some of that positional speed, but he can sit and he can actually pass horses. So his turf form overall, and Matt, like if we're just comparing speed figures, like you were just doing, look at his last turf race. He's got a 75 Beyer speed figure, which is like right there with like the 77, 78s that we were talking about with some of the top contenders in here. This was the last time he was on the turf, which was in a race that was going 7.5 furlongs at Turf Paradise. So pretty comparable when we're thinking about distances. And he's the 4 in this race. This is a little bit of an adventure here. So yeah, let's watch a little on this one. So this is back on April the 1st. So the 4 horse, who you can see because he's the gray. So he's going to end up kind of settling, and then he's going to move up, and you'll see he's sort of in a perfect spot right here, sort of like just settle right there where you are. He's going to end up going just like a little bit wider, and he needs to, and it's an okay spot where he is. He comes flying, and when he does, it is just brutal trip for No Longer a Hobby. So, and the camera work out here, I saw Benny South Street, who does Trip Note Pros, talking about the camera work at Turf Paradise. It's really hard sometimes trying to watch some of these back when you're doing the replay work. But now we're rushing into traffic right here. So now you got to tap on the brakes, and now now where the 4 is right here. We're kind of moving right into it. We're starting to move right up, sort of like into a group of horses, and a big outside burst. So there's a little bit of something here with No Longer a Hobby. And when I was like watching this race, I was like, I pulled up the wrong race. I'm like, why is this like not at all looking like what I'm like looking at? I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like,
but that race showed, that horse has a burst when it wants to go.
So watch. Okay. Here's the whole point. I'm like, I'm laughing at myself. Like while I'm watching, I'm like, this isn't like making at all sense, whatever at all. So the 3rd place finish is the one I'm looking back here. I was pulling up this race that was way down here, and that's why when he moved early. So the April 1st race is the one, and that was against an optional 25 group. So we're talking about like the levels, and if these races can compete, and if these races stack up, you know what? Like, this is a horse who was competitive over at Canterbury. This is a horse who's been facing open company and is now going to be back in with Calbreds, and is now drawn really well towards the outside. I like the way this race shapes up. I like the spot for No Longer a Hobby. So a race where we all have horses. Matt is going to look at Raging Waters. I'm going to No Longer a Hobby. They're both 10-1. And Barry, you've got someone else in here, right?
Yep. Number 2, Big Flame.
Okay. Big Flame. We've all got horses that are easy to use in your stable dual lineups, because they're all going to be at least the average of what you need to spend. So tell us a little bit about Big Flame, Sniper.
Yeah, I think this horse has a good chance here. if you look at the races in 2022, the first one on February 27th, horse won at 6.5, on the normal 6.5 furlong course. That was a good race to come off the bench from November 21st, and I think they kind of overshot themselves.
Yeah.
And didn't get quite a great ride on April 2nd. I think they wanted to be a little bit closer than what they did, and the horse was 4 and 5 wide, and just didn't really run. But I think, and this is where the gamble is I think this horse will definitely be more forwardly placed with the rider switch to Edwin Maldonado, and that's going to put this horse in a better position to finish coming down the hill. And I think that was the plan going into that race, even though, going from a condition claimer, 25,000 non-winners of 2 to a state bred allowance, 71,000 is a little bit of a jump, but not too much. But I think the horse just didn't get in any position and kind of gave it up. And I think that's why the rider only rode him once.
Yeah, Big Flame, man. Big Flame.
Yeah, I mean, they went to the main track the last time, kind of ran around there, stumbled out of the gate, didn't run all that great, didn't run well, just kind of ran in the middle of the road. But one thing that does stand out to me is Steve Miotti's really good with turf sprints. He's a 23% trainer this year with that. The turf to dirt angle, and then the spacing between races, he's 30%. So it seems like this is what this horse wants to do, and all of his turf sprints haven't been all that bad, considering he's won one of them at a pretty decent number.
Yep.
But this seems like a pretty good spot to bounce back.
I think he's a must use if you're playing any sort of late exotics there. That's Big Flame, the number 2. So we all attack race number 7 as a race to look at and a race to possibly play. And I've got one in the 9th.
What?
The Get Out race. Anybody else have anything along the way? And then we'll have one or two for Monday for Lone Star before we finish up this week. So the Get Out for me, I know this is Barry's style normally. I'm going to the number 4 in here, Sasser B. So
Sassy Serb.
Sassy Serb. I always say Sasser B. Sassy Serb. So
it could be the other way.
No, it's not. It's definitely not. It's definitely not. Let's take a look at her recent form. She's a 5-year-old mare. So she got a nice sort of confidence, easy win last time out at Golden Gate. Before that, though, 2 starts back, she's going 6.5 in the Irish O'Brien. She's going down the hill 6.5, and she's behind Becca Taylor. This is a nice horse. Becca Taylor's 7 for 8. She's a multiple stakes winner. Her only loss, she lost by a nose. When she was second, she was only beating a nose that day. The winner that day, Eddie's New Dream, is a nice filly also. She's great at stakes placed. She was in the Wilshire. So that's a couple starts back. Now, 3 starts back, she's, also in a race where she's behind Miraz, who's sort of a stakes place type, Rocking Redhead. Tony Ann in the race before that had won 3 races in a row. So she runs into a sharp Tony Ann there. The race prior to that, you've got Mucho Unusual, who's a grade 1 winner and is coming up on $1 million in earnings. I think this is a really nice spot for Sassy Serb, who's been facing Open Company as of late. And now after facing Open Company is back in with Calbreds here. This to me just looks like a really nice spot for her. She got a good confidence building win last time out on figures and everything. She fits really, really well. She's not going to have to deal with a Mucho Unusual type like she had to deal with in some of these open races. I mean, this first level allowance wins down here, those races would absolutely beat this group. Sassy Serb, the number 4. Thank you, Barry. 6-1 on this one. And only cost us 3,000 in our stable duel lineup. So normally we give you some Friday, we give you some Saturday, but Matt, Stable Duel is doing something really cool this weekend. And on Monday, because it's a holiday Monday and a lot of big racing out there, they're actually going to have a fun contest on Monday that involves, I know, some charity involvement. Do you know the exact specifics on that? What they've said? It's like, I think they said 20%, or Let me see if I can we pull it up? Do you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Pull it up. But yeah, they're going to be giving the charity. I believe Saratoga Warhorse is the charity that they're going to be donating to on Memorial Day. Obviously, wanting to give back to our veterans who've served. And, it's been, not to get political, but it's been a tough week, I think, for the country. Yeah. And so giving back to those who served and giving back to those who have, paid a lot is always a nice thing to do. So, and so I know it's a $20 contest
on Monday. 100% donation goes to Saratoga Warhorse to support veterans and the OTTBs that help them cope with PTSD after coming home from service. There's still going to be $200 in prizes, but all the entries are going to be donated, which is a very cool gesture for Stable Duel to make, and on Memorial Day, trying to give back a little bit. So we wanted to raise a little bit of awareness and maybe give out a play or two for Lone Star for Monday. So where are you looking to make a play for Lone Star, Matt?
So I have 2 plays, race 4 and race 12, which is the headliner, the
Let's start
Steve Sexton mile.
In race number 4. Talk to us about the 4th.
So the 4th is a $10,000 optional claimer, starter allowance, 5 furlongs on the dirt. I'm going to go with a horse that I liked back at Sam Houston, which is the number 3 Shifty Henry. 15-1, only going to cost you $500. This is a really nice horse, and this is a horse I liked a lot. We talked about this horse before. We've used this horse before. Sam Houston always seems to run really reliable races, and that's kind of the beauty. I mean, Gino, you get it out there when horses go from Santa Anita to Del Mar. It's nice in Texas to see the same thing. Horses going from Sam Houston to Lone Star. Mm-hmm. You can kind of follow some.
Get familiar with them.
Yeah, you get very familiar with them. So Shifty Henry, though, got claimed last time out by Ronnie Cravens. Ronnie Cravens is one of the best in the business down in Texas, especially off the claim. 25% winner off the claim. This is a horse that, if you look, finished in the money the last 5 dirt sprints across multiple tracks at Remington Park and at Sam Houston. Tried the turf. That didn't go well. Last time out actually ran pretty well, just didn't put up a big speed figure. It was a slow race, but still finished a really competitive second. Like I said, if you look at the previous sprint dirt form, it's there, and he's right there with anybody else in this field. He's run competitively with Declined, who's your 7-2 second favorite. So I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of things to like with Shifty Henry as a horse who's going to outrun his odds. Probably going to take a little bit of money because of that Ronnie Cravens connection as well. That's a name that a lot of people know who are going to be playing down there. So for a really inexpensive play, I definitely like the Shifty Henry in the 4th race to at least hit the board for you. And the beauty is, for $500, as if he hits the board, that's a huge win. Like if he gets third, happy days, because you're spending a fraction of your overall budget, and you're spending 1% of your budget basically, and getting an ROI of 10 or 12% of what you need to potentially win the game. So in terms of points, so it's a nice play, I think, in race 4.
Just one to mention real quickly here in the 7th race. So the number 5, Bob's Bad Boy, he's 12-1 on the morning line. He doesn't win a whole ton, but he always runs really well in these turf sprints. So if you're using Archidust as like a measuring stick, he's right behind Archidust quite often. Archidust is a little bit better than him, but Archidust is 5-2 and he's 12-1. Right. So if you're building a Stable Duel lineup, he's the type of horse that you may want to use because he's really competitive with the horse that's just way more expensive than him. So that one was worth mentioning. But one of the plays that I really like is in race number 10. And I became a big fan of this horse through some of the Sam Houston races. Also got to give a shout out to our friend Jessica Paquette, because I annoyed her quite a bit with this one. And Barry and Matt, I will tell you fellas that when the sun shines, we'll shine together. I told you I'd be here forever. Said I'd always be your friend. Took a note that I'll stick it out till the end. Now it's raining more than ever. Know that we'll still have each other. You can stand under my umbrella. Brella, 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 a. You can stand under my umbrella. Brella, 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 a. Both of you guys are always allowed under my umbrella. And we're going to play Quinella here. That's where we're going. Quinella. It's Quinella, umbrella. Every time Ella is up there So Jessica Paquette, I know I've annoyed her 50 million times with this one. Quinella is 8-1 on the morning line. She's just a really sharp mare right now. She's done very little wrong over the last couple of years. And in her most recent race, she actually was really, really wide, and she had to make a big move. She was like 3 deep. She was trying to tuck in, but she just couldn't tuck in, and she had to sit wide all the way around the track, and she kept trying, and she kept on coming, and she's 8-1. And now I will be singing Rihanna for the next few. That was like early Rihanna too, right? Like that was like one of her first. Yeah. Like
Barry, you're muted, but yeah.
Yeah, I think you were muted, Sniper.
Yeah, she's Jay-Z on that.
Yeah, that was a Jay-Z.
Coming right
but
on
you
it.
sound just like Rihanna, so
right. I know I was gonna say
you guys got talent, man. You're out in Hollywood too. I mean,
for a lot
cheaper. Man, get on the
You
mic.
can get me for a lot cheaper than that. I know. So
especially she's going to be on the bench here for a while with the baby. Like,
I know.
Barry, you
step in and fill that void, man.
When the
I could be a backup dancer.
shine together, it shows you ride me there forever. You know, the best part though is the took a note, I'ma stick it out till the end. That's the one. That's the line that really hits you right there. That's the one that cuts you, you know. So had to sing a little for my boys here today because they're always allowed under my umbrella, the Sniper and Matt.
The Quinella umbrella.
Yeah, the Quinella umbrella. Under my umbrella to go back Quinella. I was trying to get the words to figure them out there. Me and Eminem will go and we'll workshop it a little bit, and we'll come back and we'll figure something out.
Get in the lab.
So,
get in the lab.
Marshall and myself will figure it out as we go to the closeout race. I've got one to close things out, or I've got one in the 12th.
That's what I got too.
Okay, so we're both in the 12th, and this is fun because this is the Sexton Mile.
Yep.
And I think you also have a tie to the horse or the name of the horse that I'm going to mention, Matt.
Yep. And that's the name I'm going to mention as well.
You think you know me. On this day, I see clearly everything has come to light. We had to wait till the very end to get all the singing today.
We did.
At the very end because they were back to back. The Rated R Superstar named for Edge.
Yes.
So,
and I will give you another connection. So for those of you who don't know, I used to be a professional wrestling ring announcer. My dad owned a small independent wrestling promotion in Pennsylvania, and Edge, before he was Edge, wrestled for my dad's promotion. And so Edge's name, of course, is the Rated R Superstar. And therefore, I've always been a big fan of this horse. But here's another little tidbit. Before Edge was Edge, he wrestled under the name Sexton Hardcastle.
Oh, that's so great.
In the Sexton Mile, I'm going to go with Rated R.
Wow.
Rated R
What
Superstar.
a totally awesome coming together of things, right?
That's why I was like, I can only choose,
crazy.
I can only choose the one. But
that's
in all
great.
seriousness, the horse here, I just think 10-1 is great value. I mean,
Absolutely.
for $1,000 in Stable Duel, this is a grade 3 winning horse that's been 2 for 4 this year. I mean, he's everybody's favorite old man. I mean, 9 years old, and just keeps putting up big speed figures. I mean, that 99 at the Essex was really good. Obviously, that was a day beating Plainsman. And so, I just think this, the mile is kind of a good distance for him. That's the distance the fifth seasons was back at Oaklawn in January. And so running that mile should be nice. I'm not really too worried about the inside post position just because he tends to come from off the pace. And so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Doesn't need the lead, doesn't need to necessarily fire out of there. The other thing to point out is a lot of the favorites in this race are stepping up and running against toughers for the first time. That if you look at Elector, Mish, and Shaz.
And I think it's worth mentioning that, and which is actually a positive of why I want to make sure I play this race. I think Elector is running at Santa Anita this weekend instead. I think
you're right.
I think he's cross-entered and is going to run into stakes. So that'll actually make the price on Rated R Superstar go down, and we're going to pay for a 10-1 shot, which
absolutely
makes it even more appealing, I think. And from like a pace standpoint, Matt, I'm not really even worried, even with Elector being removed, because I still think we have Mish. I still think we have the Shaz and Flash of Moment.
Yeah.
Between all three of them, even Mind That Star. You know, we could get combinations of still 4 horses in here, all flashing speed to set it up for Rated R Superstar. Because that's like, look at the chart for the race that he exits in the Oaklawn Handicap. The top 3 finishers in this race, they were 1, 2, 3 throughout. There was no passing the entire way around.
Right.
And you know they're going slow because Fearless was close. Fearless was like really close up in this race.
Yeah.
He's not normally that close. He normally wants to sort of track back a little bit. He's been able to show more positional speed as he's gotten older, but he's not like a quick horse, but he was right there pressing. Last Samurai actually was on the lead, sort of tracked back a little bit and then came on again. And when he's in races with Plainsman, where Plainsman's able to sort of lope out front, those races just don't shape up all that well for Rated R Superstar. It's not as if he's outclassed by Plainsman, because we see he beats him in the Essex when the race just goes a little bit quicker and there's a little bit more pace to shape up. He saves all the ground. We've talked about Raylu, who we like quite a bit. I think it's just a really nice spot for him.
I agree. And he gets Raylu aboard, who, Raylu we've talked about before. I trust him as a jockey. He's always going to give, I think, his horse a really honest chance and the best chance to win. So, I like the way this race sets up, and he's battle tested. And like I said, the others are, they're not quite there yet. This is a step up. There's a little bit more projection, and I'd rather go with a horse that I know is going to run a 95-ish buyer speed figure every time out. So for $1,000, this is about as well tested of a horse as you're going to get for $1,000.
Yep. He's cool. He's fun to root for. And, it gave me and Matt an opportunity to talk a little bit wrestling on the show too, with Edge, as great to see. All joking aside, one thing in any sport or game or whatever, anything that you watch, when people have to get hurt and have to end their career, it's a bummer. And Edge was someone who had major neck issues and it looked like he was going to be done. And then after like 10 years, because of all the advancements in modern medicine, he was able to come back and he's able to wrestle now, which is really cool. He got like a big chunk of his livelihood taken away, which would be hard for any of us, the thing that you love just being stripped from you right in the middle. So it's so cool. I love Edge. He's always one of my favorites too, is like someone that you saw go from being like a tag team guy and an up and comer. And then he was the mid card guy. And then he became like, you saw him grow all the way through. And I better get out of here or else this becomes like another 2-hour podcast on just wrestling alone. But a big shout out to our friend Thrilling Picks out there who hangs out with us.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They were saying there weren't too many tangents early. And I said, don't worry, there's a couple that are going to be coming. Just a little bit.
Oh, he got his money's worth this time. He got some singing. He got some wrestling. What more can you ask
went
for?
Off the rails with some Rihanna. I don't know what was going on. He was singing it to Jessica Paquette. So we hopefully we scratch that weird itch for you. Unlike any other horse racing shows out there, we'll have some fun. We'll get on some tangents. We'll get off the rails a little bit, and we'll always try to make you money. That's the most important thing. We'll always try to play in the no chalk zone here, where we want to lead you to some nice winners, and we want to make sure that you're all set up for the big stable duel contest each and every weekend. Fellas, always gets me smiling after I leave talking with you boys on Friday morning. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and we get some extra really good racing this week with that Monday holiday racing and a lot of tracks having that extra Memorial Day weekend racing. So Barry, my friend, good luck to you. Matty, buddy, good luck. Hope everyone has a nice, safe weekend. And you're going to hear me singing Rihanna just a few moments ago. Now you're going to hear the soothing sounds of Joey Cleveland. Take it away, my friend.
Better, you want to spread your pony knowledge.